So I got that. Are you typing this, by the way?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we don't want that. I mean, is there any way dad could send over a picture or something like that? I mean, it's just that's inefficient if we do it that way. Um, I mean, we can work with this. It's just not ideal. I'll just say it that way.
Okay. Yeah, there
Okay.
is. Okay.
Okay. But let's just look at this. So based on her recipe, Elena knows that 5 servings of granola have 1,750 calories. First thing is here is to write an equation representing the relationship between the number of calories and the servings of granola. So um, the idea here is that, and this is important, is that 0 servings have 0 calories. Does that seem reasonable to you?
Yeah.
Okay. But if you have 5 servings, that's 1,750. So there's this idea of what is the input and what is the output. Have you talked about that in class?
Yeah. Well, actually, no, not yet.
Okay, so but it kind of makes sense. Like servings is the input because you need to know how many servings before you know how many calories there are. Have you
Okay.
looked at the back of a box? I mean, cereal or pasta or something.
Yeah.
There's actually a big debate about how many servings of pasta are in a box. It's um side point. So the equation. So tell me about that, a little more about that. What kind of equations are you guys writing in class? Are you using variables? Or using what are you kind of are you using the words? What are you doing for that?
Like the way my teacher explained it, I don't know. That's why I got a tutor because she doesn't explain things very well. I'm not trying to be, but anyway, so she told me to like basically do y times x.
Okay, Leah, let me so that's where I'm going with this. X is the input and Y is the output.
Mhm.
And the equation here is Y equals K times X.
She was saying to find k.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to solve for K, you have to use you have to figure out which is the input and which is the output. And that's really hard because you don't have enough life experience to know for always that like servings leads to calories or something else leads to something else. So that's what I'm going to help with today. Um, to I'm gonna show you this kind of the way they show you in algebra, and if you don't like it, we can do it another way because there's many ways to solve these things. This problem is saying that when x is 5, y is 1,750. So we're going to put those values into the equation. So that means that 1750, that's y, equals k times 5. And this is considered a one-step equation to solve. Did you talk about that at all in class?
Yeah.
Okay. So the way you solve this equation is you undo this math operation with its inverse. The inverse of multiplication is division, and you divide both sides by 5. On the right, it cancels. On the left, this is where I get to ask questions like, are you using a calculator? Do you do this by hand? What's kind of how are you guys doing this in the classroom?
Oh, we use a calculator.
Okay, and I am not anti-calculator, so if you need to have one out or use it, please do. Can you tell me the value here of this 1750 divided by 5?
Oh, yeah. So do I times it or do I divide it?
You're dividing. This fraction bar means division.
Oh, 350.
350. Okay. So that value goes back into the original equation. Y equals 350 times X. Okay, but if we go back to like our variables in the equation, X is the servings, Y is the calories. So like what we're really saying is calories, which is Y, equals 350 times X, which is servings. Like that's what we're trying to say. For every serving, it's 350 calories. and you'll see that maybe in a, is there a follow-up to this question, or is this the only part of the question?
Yeah, there's a follow-up.
Okay, what is the follow-up to it?
The follow-up, like the question before that was like if she wants to eat 175 calories of granola, how many servings should she eat? And I got 10 servings.
Okay, so 175 calories. Is that X or Y?
Why?
It's Y. So that what that means is you're putting this number in for Y. 175 equals 350 times X. And that's the challenge here is, and that's kind of going back to what we're talking about here, this whole idea of inputs and outputs. You want to label X and Y appropriately so that you can use them appropriately in this equation. So your answer of 10, you're off on that. So let's work through this. Again, you have multiplication over here on the side with the variable. If you
Oh,
undo
wait. Um, I'm so sorry. I was looking at I'm doing a sheet thing, where basically uh, I redo my paper and I was
okay,
looking at my old answer. My new answer was, 0.5.
so you divide both sides by 350, X equals 0.5 servings. And that unit is really important. Really, really important to have, um, the word there.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there any other parts to this question that we need to go through?
Uh, there was the first one, which she said if she eats 2 servings of granola, how many calories does she eat? And I got 700.
That is correct. So what you're doing there is you're saying, and I'm just gonna call this part B. You're saying X is 2. You know that Y equals 350 times X. And so it's 350 times 2, which is 700. All right. Is there something else you can drop in the chat, email?
Uh,
I'm happy
no,
to also come up with some or find some on the internet if that is
it
needed.
was just that first question that I asked about the equation.
Okay. So like that's all you're working on right now is kind of this, it's called direct variation. I don't know if that came up in class. And
Oh,
K is what's called the constant of
proportionality.
proportionality. Yeah. So what I can do here is find some problems, give you some problems, but it's totally up to you. Meaning like what would you like to work on or what would be best for you to work on here?
Um, well, I think I have some questions in my math journal thing that she gave us.
Okay. Always better if we kind of work on what you want to work on rather than me coming up with stuff.
There's one where it was comparing relationships with equations.
Okay.
And it was
Is that something you can type out or take a picture of or get that over?
yeah. And then it has a table showing for x 1 and 5 for the first two, and then on the distance measured in the distance measured in yards for y, like at the bottom it has 3,520 is 7,600, and then there's two blank boxes on each side.
Okay, yeah, this is the hard part. I mean, be like me trying to communicate with you about math without about this. So I'm gonna need just a tiny bit more thing information from here. So X and then Y. Tell me what's in the first row of the table.
On the left side for x 1 and 5.
You mean one and then another row for five, like that?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then uh for y, not in the first two boxes, but yeah, below that would be 3,520.
like this.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
anything else
below that would be 17,600.
like this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good enough. All right, so the equation is Y equals 1,007, or sorry, 1,760 X. Does that look right to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there's two ways that you can use the table. The first is that they give you an X and you have to determine Y. So you're taking this value of X1 and putting it into this equation. Do you know what I mean by that, or is that totally unfamiliar?
I'm a little stuck.
That's fine. That's fine. So what we're saying here is Y equals 1,760 times 1. I'm taking the value of 1 and putting it in for X. It's 1,760 times 1. What does that become?
Uh 1,760.
Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to do the same thing for 5. We're going to put that value of 5 in for X. Y equals 1,760 times 5. So can you multiply that outwards, please?
8,750.
Okay. All right, now for this one, they're giving you Y and you have to go backwards. So you're using this equation again, the one that's given, but you're going backwards. You're saying this time, you're saying, okay, for the 3,520, that's the value of Y. And there's the equation. So we have to undo multiplication by 1,760. To do that, you divide by 1,760. So you undo multiplication with division.
Okay. 2.
Two. Okay, so that's what goes there. And then you do the same thing for this last. So it's like you're either given X to find Y, or in these problems, you're given Y to find X. They're like working backwards. So it's very similar. It's 17,600 equals 1,760 times X. And to solve for X, you divide by 1,000. I'm sorry, 1,760, like that.
1.
Try again. I think you've got a zero
Oh,
left off.
10.
X equals 10. Okay. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, let's try a simpler example because I mean, sometimes we do these problems and the numbers get so large here. Let's say I tell you it's Y equals, I gotta pick numbers I can do quickly. Let's go 4X. Okay. simple relationship here. And let's say that x is 2 and then x is 9. Okay, could you calculate y for us, please, in this example?
0.5.
Okay, so am I giving you x or y in this example?
Y.
Okay, but the number is under x.
Oh, then X.
Yes, so I'm giving you x. I'm not giving you y. I'm asking you to find y. I'm giving x to find y. So I'm just asking you to put this value of x into the equation here.
8.
Good. And can you do the same thing for the other value of x?
Yeah. 36.
Okay. Now I can also give y to find x. Okay, so let's do that. Let's say I tell you that y is 20 and then that y is 84, for example. Okay, so this time I'm giving you the number on the left. I'm giving you the y value you have to solve for x.
Wait, so am I multiplying or dividing?
So what I'm hoping you're writing is 20 equals 4x for the first one. Did you write anything like that down?
Yeah,
Okay. How do you undo multiplication on the right?
divide.
Divide. You divide both sides by 4. Hopefully that answers your question now that you're dividing.
5.
Okay. All right. And do the same thing for this last one, please.
21.
There's 21. Good. Okay. So real quick here, because I'm really curious if you guys have been doing anything like this. Could you solve x plus 3 equals 2? Could you tell
Yeah,
me? Okay, could you solve that for me, please?
5.
All right, so you undo addition with subtraction. Undo it just so, and this is where I'm just trying to gauge your knowledge of some of this stuff. 2 minus 3, do you know what that is? Can you tell me what that is?
-1.
-1, good. Now the problem with what you told me, you said x was 5. 5 plus 3 is definitely not 2. Because
Oh,
that's like your like reasonableness check. It's like, was that even right? Sometimes you put something in your phone, you're like, all right, how long is it going to take me to walk to the store, drive to the store, and you get like 5 hours, and you're like, well, that's not right. It's like sometimes you got to go check and make sure it's actually gonna work there. All right, so try it out lesson is about 25 minutes here. I'm gonna go ahead and just stop the recording here.